So, are you feeling stuck with your English? You know, that feeling where you're putting in all this work but you're just not seeing the results? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we are laying out the exact roadmap to smash through that intermediate plateau and finally reach fluency. And we're going to do it using 6 scientifically backed habits.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to really define the problem, that super frustrating plateau. Then, we'll jump straight into the solution, the specific, actionable habits for practice, immersion, and mindset that are going to unlock that next level of your English.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about this intermediate plateau. We've all been there, right? It's that incredibly demotivating feeling that your progress has just completely stopped. But listen, I promise you, it is not just you. This is a totally normal and honestly a predictable part of learning any new skill.
So, does this feel familiar at all? You're studying, you're putting in the hours, day after day, but it feels like you are just running in place, not getting any better. You've basically hit that infamous B1 wall, and it feels like you are completely and totally stuck.
You know, there's this big myth out there that it takes like 10 years to become fluent. That is just not true. The reason most of us get stuck isn't about time at all. It's about strategy. Getting out of this rut isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter on the right stuff.
Okay, so to actually find the solution, we've got to understand the why behind the problem. Turns out there are some pretty clear scientific reasons why this plateau can feel so inescapable.
First up, there's this idea called inner language. Now, what is that? Well, basically, your brain builds its own little simplified version of English. Think of it like a comfort zone. It's got just enough vocabulary and grammar that works for your daily life. But the problem is, the second you step outside that comfortable bubble, your English suddenly feels totally incomplete.
All right, next up is something called automaticity and fossilization, and this one is huge. See, around the B1 level, your brain starts putting common grammar patterns on autopilot just to be more efficient. But here's the catch. If you keep repeating an incorrect pattern, like saying, "Yesterday I go to work," your brain automates the mistake. It gets fossilized, literally set in stone, and becomes incredibly hard to fix later on.
And that brings us to maybe the most important idea of all, the input hypothesis. The best way to think about this is like a workout at the gym. To build muscle, you have to lift weights that are just a little heavier than what's comfortable, right? Same thing here. To grow your English, you need input. Books, shows, podcasts. That's just one step beyond your current level. If you only stick with stuff you already find easy, your brain never gets that challenge it needs to grow.
Okay, that's enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. This is the exciting part. We're going to dive into the active, daily habits that will fight back against those forces and push you straight towards that C2 level.
Habit number 1, and this is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to speak. Every single day. Seriously, if you're not speaking, your progress is basically frozen. And please, don't wait until you feel ready. That day never comes. Speaking is how you get ready. Send voice notes on WhatsApp. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Record a quick 2-minute video diary. The point is to just make your mouth move and use the language.
Okay, habit number 2 is a super powerful listening technique called narrow listening. It's a real game changer. It's so simple. Just pick a short video or a clip from a show. First, watch it one time with the subtitles on, just so you understand what's going on. Then, right away, watch the exact same clip again, but this time, turn the subtitles off. This simple little 2-step process is like weightlifting for your ears. It trains them to catch natural, fast-paced English.
So, active practice is one side of the coin. But the other side, which is just as important, is the environment you create for yourself. It's all about the input you're feeding your brain day in and day out.
All right, you want the secret weapon for building a truly advanced vocabulary? It's reading. I'm serious. Everyday conversation just recycles the same few thousand words over and over. But all those complex, interesting C1 and C2 level words, they're just sitting there, waiting for you in books and articles.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the numbers. The research is super clear on this. Reading exposes you to 2 to 3 times more rare and sophisticated words than just watching TV or having a conversation. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. Reading is, without a doubt, the fastest way to build that high-level vocabulary.
Okay, habit number 4 is all about immersion. This is where fluency really starts to click. It happens when English stops feeling like a subject you study and starts being just part of your life. And you can do this so easily.
Switch your phone and your laptop to English. Follow English-speaking accounts online. Listen to English music, news, whatever. The more you live in the language, the faster your brain just naturally adapts. All right, so you've got your active practice, you've got your immersion. Now we need the final two pieces of the puzzle. Think of these as the glue that holds everything together and guarantees your success in the long run: feedback and mindset.
Okay, habit number 5, getting corrective feedback. And listen, this is so important. Practicing the wrong way is actually worse than not practicing at all. I'll say it again. If you keep repeating your mistakes without anyone correcting you, you're just making those fossilized errors permanent. You absolutely need feedback to see the mistakes you can't see yourself.
So, how do you actually get this feedback? Well, you've got options. You could find a tutor or a language partner online. You could even just ask a really patient friend to please correct you. And here's a great little technique. Keep an error log. It's just a simple notebook where you write down your common mistakes, things like mixing up he said me versus he told me, so you can actively work on fixing them.
And that brings us to our final habit, habit number 6. And honestly, this might be the most important one of them all. It's all about building a consistent mindset. Let me tell you a little secret. Motivation is a total myth. It's unreliable. It comes and goes. So stop relying on motivation. Instead, rely on a system.
I mean, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have cramming. We all know what that feels like, right? 3 hours once a week. It's super stressful, it leads to burnout, and you forget everything a week later. But on the other side, you have consistency. And memory science has proven this over and over. 20 minutes every single day is way more effective. It builds a lasting habit, it actually keeps you motivated, and it wires that information into your long-term memory for good.
And really, this quote just wraps it all up perfectly. English fluency doesn't come from luck. It's not about being talented. It's the direct, predictable result of building good habits. That's it.
So, that leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you. You have the roadmap now. You know the 6 habits that are scientifically proven to break you through that plateau. All that's left is to take that first step. So, which habit are you going to start today?